But no, this is one of the misperceptions here. Just because you get vaccinated with that second dose does not mean you should be participating in things like traveling in the middle of an out-of-control pandemic, or that you're liberated from masks. Mm-hmm. Everything still applies until all of us get the 2-dose regimen. And we don't think that's going to happen until June, July. Yeah. And again, this goes back to what we just talked about, Chuck. We don't know if just getting the vaccination prevents serious illness, or does it also prevent you from getting infection entirely, meaning you can still get infected with the virus potentially and pass it on to others. So really, really critical. Don't let your guard down just because you got vaccinated. You still might be able to get infected with the virus and pass on others. So please keep that in mind.
So what's the point of the vaccine then? That was, of course, MSNBC's own Dr. Gupta. I guess they were jealous of CNN's. His name is Dr. Gupta, who says, well, just because you've got a vaccine doesn't mean you're allowed to travel, or you can take your mask off. Because that's how it's worked in the past, right? Everybody stayed home when they got vaccinated for something. Sheer insanity. We're going to unpack the causes of that insanity with our favorite B-2 bomber pilot. His code name, his call sign is Speedo. General retired Rob Spaulding. He is the author of Stealth War, How China Took Over the World While America's Elite Slept. Follow him right now, Robert_Spaulding. Let me ask you this, because you know our enemy. You served in China as the senior defense official, defense attaché. How do you think it's a little red teaming exercise. How do they look at the way the West, America included, has responded to the China virus in the last year?
Well, they've responded exactly as they influenced us to respond. There's actually a couple of good papers on this that talks about the campaign. The campaign was really to convince the free world to lock down, just like China locked down. Now, it's interesting to note that if you're in the financial industry, if you're in the agriculture industry, you name it, whoever's tracking data, what they say universally is don't trust what's coming out of China.
Right.
But
Wonder
here
why.
we trusted them to tell us that you have to lock down your society and crush your economy in order to crush the virus.
Which is, of course, good for who?
Them. That's the whole thing was set up to grow their economy at the expense of everybody else. It was brilliant. I respect the fact that they're strategists.
And it's working. Let's listen to the mayor of New York, who calls himself Bill de Blasio, although that's not his real name. Look it up. You won't believe it. This is a video cut for a man playing perfectly into the hands of Communist China.
Clearly, these numbers that I went over a moment ago, they're going in the wrong direction. We are just on the verge of a huge breakthrough with the vaccine, but we're also dealing with a second wave. We've got to beat it back. We've got to protect lives. We've got to protect our hospitals. So I think, unfortunately, I don't say it with anything but sorrow, but I do think it's needed. We're going to need to do some kind of shutdown in the weeks ahead, something that resembles the pause we were in the spring.
So another shutdown for New York, financial center of the United States. He may be saying that with sorrow as the mayor, but in Beijing they're very happy, are they not, General?
Oh, they're clapping, they're applauding, they're laughing at it. It's a ridiculous thing. Right. If you look at the numbers of dead in 2019 and the numbers of I'm talking total deaths in the United States, 2019, 2020, there's less than 2020. So where is this big surge of deaths? And oh, by the way,
this is the phrase. Sorry, the excess deaths. This is the technical phrase. Right. We don't have the excess deaths that a pandemic would make you expect.
And magically, heart disease, the number one killer of adults in America, is drastically reduced.
And the flu? What happened to the...
Doesn't exist.
Look, you just don't take the General's word for it. Don't believe me. Look up the figures for this year's flu season. It is as if the flu doesn't exist as a phenomenon. I don't mean COVID, I mean the flu. Which leads one, a reasonable person, to suspect what? COVID may be real. It is. But how many of the diagnosed COVID deaths were in fact flu deaths?
Or heart disease.
Or heart disease. Or what have you. right? This is the question that has not been answered and won't be until it's probably too late.